Good morning. I think Andrew and the Magic Giveash ometer. This might be part 9, but it could be anything really with me. I think it's part 9. This chapter is called Another New Plan. The local authority had by this time picked up on me and decided to use my skills. They seconded me for a couple of days a week and put me on the autism outreach team. And there I was going into homes to teach children who, as they put it, could not be taught in schools. These were not children with challenging behaviour. These were more often children with anxiety or social emotional mental health problems, as well as their autism diagnosis. I regularly did not agree that these children were better off out of school and found some of them to be so much in need of social interaction that it was quite upsetting to see them without the company of other children. This went on for quite a few months, with me juggling my master's studies, my teaching, my outreach work, and of course my young family. When suddenly it hit me, I would set up a company and get out there as an independent. So I wrote one course. It was called Autism Day Course, and it had 4 one-hour sessions. What is autism? Autism in the virtual world, all about autism and ICT, creating autism-friendly learning environments, and using visual interventions. That was it. I was on my way. I printed up tons of flyers, booked a load of venues and ran courses every day of the week. It was quite interesting to see where the needs were different and the demand was greater. Big areas were Liverpool, Ashford in Kent, Huddersfield, Hertford, Leeds. While some areas did very little, Manchester, Sevenoaks in Kent, Sheffield, Chelmsford, York. I very soon got very good at identifying areas in need and targeting my interventions. During my teaching career, I'd become very aware of the fact that autism and other conditions rarely come alone, and that in order to understand autism, I needed to understand other conditions. So I put a lot of work and research into managing comorbid conditions, the existence of 2 or more conditions in the same child. My findings were that most children could not be categorised under one heading. You can't pigeonhole humans quite that easily. So I gradually rolled out 5 more day courses: ADHD, dyslexia, pathological demand avoidance, PDA, SEMH, social emotional mental health, promoting positive behaviour. This one was based on the presentations of autism and ADHD. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed getting this work out there. I was giving people the confidence to work with these children effectively. Indeed, all of these courses, although very much updated to reflect current thinking, are still running now, some 15 years later. This quite quickly evolved organically, there was no plan, into what we call in-cent training on site to whole schools. This is still my favourite way of disseminating training. Everybody gets the same message, and the workshops tend to be more focused on the individual school's needs. Just like the children with these various conditions, all schools and colleges are unique, and through a process of in-depth communication, bespoke training can be delivered. Again, through an organic process of people asking me if I would come into schools and carry out observations, I had become the person that went into schools to help children with ADHD and other conditions to be included in their day-to-day educational experiences. This almost immediately became my specialist area. It came so naturally to me. It was like suddenly recovering from a lifetime of constipation. In fact, I was always very proud of the fact that I had such a good handle on their behaviours and how much I understood them and knew what interventions to put in place. Of course, now I know that I have a neurological affinity with them, but even then I really didn't have a clue. As I write this, I'm planning 2 sets of observations for schools for next week and writing up 2 sets of observation reports from last week. From a social and emotional perspective, from a social and personal perspective, this work has resulted in a vast improvement in my well-being and career fulfillment, because I move around a lot from venue to venue and from group of people to a different group of people, thus alleviating that old devil, the inevitable growing dislike of me from people I work with. It's an ADHD thing. I'm going to do you a 2-page chapter, then I'm going to be on my way. The Great Revelation. But how did I find out about my ADHD, I hear you ask? Was I referred by a GP, general practitioner in England? Did a relative, partner, or loved one see something in me that they felt needed a little bit of an investigate? No. One Sunday in around about June 2016, I attended an ADHD conference in Lincoln College. Learn a few things, I thought. Do a bit of networking, free lunch, you get the picture, right? But my adventure started in the car park, well, before I even got into the building. I don't know if you've ever been to Lincoln College, but back then, like most places, it wasn't easy to get parked. And as I recall, not clear where it was permitted to park, so I parked in a spot which looked kind of okay to me. Then I saw a man about my age parking up too, so I went over and said something like, "Do you know if it's okay to park here?" Now I can't remember what he said in response other than he had an American accent and that he was clearly taking the mickey. I was not taking this well, and after a short while I became noticeably agitated and politely asked him to back off. That was it. He'd got the response he wanted and he was happy. "Hi, I'm Kevin Roberts," he said, and pushed out his hand to shake mine. I shook his hand and he hugged me. I liked this guy. Kevin, or Kev as he likes to be called, was one of the speakers on that day, and he was a fellow ADHDer. Kevin calls us ADHDers. I kind of like it. If you want to read a good book, you should read Kev's third book, Schindler's Gift, How One Man Used His ADHD to Change the World. This is, in my opinion, an essential read for any parents or teachers of older children with ADHD. If you're looking for a positive ADHD role model, you can't do much better than Oskar Schindler, who saved the lives of 2,000 Jews during the Holocaust. Anyway, back to Kev. Later in that day, we were having a conversation about training and support for young people with ADHD when Kev made a strange comment. "It's so good to see people like you, an actual ADHD, are working to help children with ADHD. "Oh no, Kev, you're mistaken. I don't have ADHD. Kev laughed in my face like I was an idiot. "Of course you do." These words cut me to the bone. This complete stranger had absolutely nailed it, and that was it. There was no turning back now. The fuse had been lit. It sounds like nothing, but this was a truly eye-opening moment. In that instant, everything made sense. In that instant, my whole life story came together. All I needed was someone to say it, and that someone was Kev. I cried. Kev's throwaway comment shook me to the very core. Of course I have ADHD. Why wouldn't I? From here, I wanted to be able to use this information for the common good. I wanted to be able to share my newfound ADHD-ness with the world, so that parents and professionals could get the benefit of my inside knowledge. But then the imposter syndrome metaphorically kicked in. What if I'm not ADHD? What if I'm a fake? What if I'm just a regular misfit and crazy person with no other reason for that other than I just am? So I did it about for a while and ultimately sought a diagnosis. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to do some more tomorrow for you. If you're interested in the book, obviously it is $7.99 on Amazon as a paperback, $4.99 as a Kindle, and if you've got a Kindle Unlimited, it's free. What was I going to say? Yeah, but I'm just as happy for you to read it for nothing or hear it for nothing with these readings that we've been putting out every day. And I'm really very, very grateful to all the lovely feedback that I've been getting. Have a fabulous day, friends. This is Andrew in his pajamas, checking out.